Hey guys, it's Something Rush. Today I'm going to be showing you a 7k damage game that I played on Airfield. Now, this is an all tier 8 game, and so 7k damage is actually a lot when you're fighting a lot of tier 8 tanks, and so I figured I might as well show it because it's one of those games. Airfield's one of those maps that everyone has trouble with, and to do well on it is very difficult. Well, it requires a lot of patience, let me put it that way, which is challenging for most people. So, we're on Airfield, standard game. There's 3 tier 10s on the enemy team, however many tier 9s. Looks like there's 3 tier 9s and the rest are tier 8s. What I like to do on Airfield, kind of regardless of the enemy team lineup, is I like to take right up here. Now, you'll notice I got a bit of a rough spawn, and so the enemies beat me there, and TDs were also in a position to shoot at me on the way, and that's just a risk you take. That Scorpion shot at me, I got hit by a Charioteer. The Scorpion missed, I returned fire to that Charioteer, but it's like, that's just the type of thing you have to deal with if you're going to take E7 or whatever the hell it is. So once you're up here, what I like to do is I wouldn't suggest trading shots with the TDs like I did. I would suggest coming straight to this position right here. And what you do is you look for people who are crossing in this area right here, down this alleyway. And you can see that tree fell down, proves someone crossed there, and I was trying to take advantage of that. Now, what I'm going to do right here, because we're in this position and we're not shooting at anyone who's crossing the alleyway, is you'll notice on the map a Tiger 2 was spotted. Now, I can see that. I took a shot on the right-hand side of the rock, which is where he went dark, and I could see that the shell had hit a building behind. And then I looked at where that Tiger 2 could have been again, and then I shot to the left of the rock, and when I shot to the left of the rock, the shell didn't break any of the buildings behind him, so I knew I was hitting something. And so I shot there multiple times just because I thought I was hitting something, and there you go, the Tiger's down 594 HP. So it's like, that's the type of thing you can use your minimap. It's like, I didn't expect the Tiger 2 to be there. I checked my minimap, I saw someone was there, and then I just figured I might as well blind fire the bushes, because if he's unspotted, he probably knows that and is probably sitting in the bushes. So that's happened. Now, this is sort of the middle stage of the game, and this is where people tend to lose all their HP on this map, and this is where games are thrown constantly in the mid stage of the game. What you'll notice everyone's doing as I'm taking shots at this Tiger, we'll just take this last shot right here. I think that one goes in. Yeah, there we go. And then he gets safe. What you'll notice everyone is doing is they're kind of pushing around this corner. Now, this is where, like I said, everyone screws up on this map. You can't push around this corner unless you're going to do it really quickly like I am. And you'll notice if you do it quickly, you won't get shot by TD sitting at D2. But when you've got people like this IS-6 and the 50 TP who are going to try to drive around this corner, or this AMX M445 and the T34 who are being aggressive, they're going to lose their HP as they do that. So I noticed that my teammates are being aggressive, and I ignore that. It's a completely dick thing to do, but I'm electing to shoot at this Tiger 2 who's, like, I think is probably still in these bushes, as opposed to go fight that Type 5 heavy, because what will happen is if I go to engage that Type 5, I'll get shot by whatever TDs are sitting in D2, and you'll notice that's going to happen the next time I poke right here. So I'm going to poke on this VK, and I try to make a shot as quickly as possible, and you'll notice I poked for like 3 seconds. Immediately 2 shells came back at me. If that poke had been any wider or for maybe a second longer, I would have lost like 500 HP there. And that's just what happens when you poke on or try to push into where that Type 5 heavy is. So I noticed those 2 shots came in. I fall back. I continue to look for shots on the Tiger 2. And I'm going to once again look for opportunities on the Type 5. It's a bit of a balancing act. If you don't get shots on where the Tiger 2 is, like if you don't get shots on this angle, you don't get shots here, you consider poking on the Type 5's location to shoot at a heavy tank, and you do that intermittently, because TDs who are sitting at D2 will expect you to poke back and forth, and that never works. So our 50 TP who pushed around the northern side of this rock here died. We're down to 2 tanks, 2 teammates right here, and I can see this on my map, of course. The IS-6 is down to 178 HP. The AMX is on 1000 HP, and he's pushing into a crossfire. So I know they're going to die, and I can't help them, because I know on this map the first team to push loses, and so I'm just making sure that I survive. And what will happen is once my teammates die, the enemies will push in, and that's when we have the opportunity to try to bring the scores back, because right now we're effectively 4 tanks down simply because the IS-6's HP. So they're starting to push. The 54 mod 1 YOLOs, he loses all his HP. I'm going to hit the tracking shot right here. He's going to get killed by someone else, probably the UDAS. Yeah, he gets killed by the UDAS. And this is where the game starts to sort of turn around. You'll notice the Type 5 heavy shoots. I'm going to poke, and once again, I do this quickly. I do this quickly because I kind of expect TDs to be ready to shoot back at me, and I did it in such a way that my frontal plate was angled, so if a TD did hit me, he might not penetrate me. I noticed that Skoda T50's pushed up, so I put a shot into him, and this is how this position works. You have to be very defensive. If you're going to be aggressive, you'll die, and proof of that is the 50 TP and the T34 who have died, both in different locations trying to make the same play. So that's that. We're up to 2,300 damage, and for good players, this is a very low amount of damage when you're 5 minutes into the game. It's very common to get frustrated, at least for me personally at this point, but as my teammates are dying, it's like we continue to need to be passive. Now, that AMX has, what is he? He's a one-shot now. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they also have an unspotted SU-101 on the enemy team. So what I've decided to do is I notice how much, well, that guy shoots me, so I shoot back at him. I notice how much we have camping. We've got the Jagdtiger camping, the Victoria camping, the UDAS camping, and they've also got a bunch of HP over here. So what's going to happen is this Type 5 Heavy is going to drive around the quarter, and I notice this, and so I'm going to go for the tracking shot. Now, unfortunately, the shot doesn't track him, and the play that most people would make if they're faced with a Type 5 Heavy driving into them like this, especially when the guy has 700 HP more than you, is they would just back off this cliff. Now, that's a reasonable play, but if I back off this cliff, I'll throw the game because this position is so powerful when used defensively. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide to trade my HP to try to make this position work. Now, I notice the Sheridan's right here with the Type. So what I do is I hold my shot. I want to kill the Sheridan so I don't have to deal with 2 enemies at once. And now I've got 1,126 HP, and I'm fighting the 2k HP Type 5 Heavy by myself. But like I said, I know that spending this, I'm going to be spending HP, but it's worth it in my opinion if I can hold this position. And that's all that I'm going to try to do. So there's an IS-6 flanking the Type 5. The IS-6 ends up dying to an SU-101 who's camping in D2. Now, I didn't notice that the SU-101 killed the IS-6. I assumed it was another TD, and that's going to be important because you'll see that, well, as that Batshot pushes through, the reason I didn't poke on that Batshot is because I thought the SU-101 might be where that Tiger 2 was. So I could have killed the Batshot in this instance if I had watched the kill feed, because obviously the SU-101 killed the IS-6 who was flanking the Type 5, but someone else gets the kill, so it all works out, and now we're in the situation where we've managed to hold our position, and that's going to give us huge leverage when trying to win the game. It was a good decision to trade my HP to maintain this position right here. So that's where we're at right now. Now, what you'll notice is this Type 5's fallen back, and that creates an opportunity for the T44 to flank him. This is a really bad play from the T44, and as I'm sitting here, I don't really notice that the T44 is doing it because I didn't expect it. So what I'm doing is I'm preparing for a TD, because they've got TDs in B3 who aren't being spotted. I'm preparing for a TD to drive down the airstrip, down the sea line, and once I notice the T44 is flanking the Type 5, I take advantage of the flank that guy's created. I assume the Type 5 is looking away, and that allows me to shoot at the Type 5, and we're actually going to end up getting the kill right here. Now, unfortunately, the T44 is left on 200 HP, but the second the Type 5 dies, I fall back, because like I said, there's 2 TDs who are sitting at B3 and B4 who have not been spotted for a while, and they also probably haven't had shots on anyone for a while. So when you've got enemies who haven't been seen for a while, you can kind of assume they're going to move. And my play, and you'll see, I'm constantly checking the airfield because I expect a TD to be driving down the B line because he's got nothing to shoot at him. So I choose not to shoot at the M4A1 Rev, once again because I assumed there was a TD in G2, and every couple seconds I'm checking the B line because I think there might be a TD pushing down there, and that's just why I'm doing what I'm doing. Now, one thing that you can utilize in World of Tanks, and a lot of people choose not to do it, I have no clue why. I guess people think that teammates are useless in World of Tanks. That's not the case. We've got a full HP UDAS sitting at B0, and I think that there's going to be someone pushing down the B line, so I ask the UDAS like 8 times to go into B8, because if he sits in the B8 rock, that will actually allow him to spot the airfield for me, and that will keep me safe as I try to check different angles and try to help out the southern side of the map, and so on. And so that's what I asked the UDAS to do. The UDAS does that, which is incredible, and it's like it took 10 seconds to ask him to do that. He took a while to respond, but simply asking him to do that was perfect because it's actually going to save my ass right here. So I probably would not have noticed the STRV because the STRV does push down the airfield in a couple seconds here. So I'm just going to sit here because I see that the Ferdinand's in trouble and I want to try to support the Ferdinand. I'm looking away. I am constantly checking my minimap just in case that Udez spots who I think he'll spot pushing down the B line. And I'm pointing my gun in that direction. If I don't have shots on the J line, I just simply sit here because that should allow me to hopefully be held on if someone pushes on to me. So right now I'm expecting someone to maybe come around this corner or maybe go like this, and I kind of think this is a bit like I don't have to worry so much about the B-line because the Udez is there, but the Udez spots the STRV, of course, and that's a perfect play by that Udez because he was able to spot the STRV. I got a shot into that STRV, and now the STRV is actually a 2-shot, and he's in a crossfire because of this Udez's location. So I'm watching the STRV, and you'll notice the way I'm poking on this guy. So I'm going like this to try to keep myself safe from these guys, and I also want to keep bushes in between myself and anyone who's over here. So I'm backing up. I'm trying to manage all those bushes as I poke right here, and then I knock over this tree. So normally I would poke on this STRV right here, but because I knocked over the tree, I didn't want the STRV to maybe blind fire at me. So I made sure he was looking away, and then when he was looking away, I was able to get the kill. Now that Conway's spotted. So this is the situation that our team is in right now. I am the most aggressive player on the team. I can't really take a hit from them. They've got a full HP SU-101 who I don't really know where he is. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold an angle, assuming I'm not spotted. I wasn't sure if I was spotted by that charioteer or not, so I fell back. And so we're just going to continue to sort of look for shots. I'm looking for shots on the one-shots. If I can kill someone, that would be absolutely solid. So the situation right now is that the Victoria is moving up and they've got the Charioteer and the Conway who are in front of us. Now, I'm sitting here. I need to wait for something to happen because I don't have the HP to push into anyone, but the Victoria certainly does. So the Victoria makes a play. He ends up spotting the Conway, or the Udez spots the Conway and gets the kill. And I noticed that the Charioteer was shooting to the south. So what I do is, because that SU-101 was spotted, I'm able to push into the Charioteer, get the kill. And now we've got the last 3 remaining enemy tanks who are all in one side of the map, and it's like we can absolutely take advantage of that, but it's also very common for people to throw games in these situations because what they find is when they go to challenge 3 tier 8s in a tier 10 tank, they're overconfident because, you know, for in this situation I'm a 2-shot. I can't reliably, even as whatever my stats are player, I can't reliably take on 3 tanks just driving into them and expect them to win when they've got like 2k HP or however much HP they have. So what I've done is I've situated myself above them. What this does is it forces, I see the Udez here, I see the Victoria here. So what's going to happen is if they want to fight me, they have to either expose themselves to the Udez or the Victoria. So we kind of have a dual support type thing going on here. I spot the low, I get the kill, we kill him, and then we're down to 2 tanks. And once again, well, I'm noticing that I don't have the support from the Udez, but because of my position, I'm kind of able to play this, and I can also take a hit. So they aren't playing this intelligently at all. They're below me, which is kind of like they can't do anything from that point. I try to bait the shot from the SU-101 just by showing him the tip of my turret, which is a very low risk thing that you can do. And because he shoots, I can angle my tank down. That gives me the gun depression to shoot at this SU-101 and actually end up finishing him off right there. And so that leaves the M4A1 Revalorise with 172 HP, and I end up trying to dive on him. And the fucking asshole in the Victoria screws it up. So that's the game. Let's go take a look at the end plates. All right, so that game was a Mastery Badge first class. I ended up getting a bunch of medals that I don't know the name of, Confederate, High Caliber, and a Top Gun for this game. We ended up getting 150,000 credits, 3k XP, that was 1200 base, so I imagine this was my double or something. We ended up firing 35 shots, 29 of them hit, 24 penned. We ended up making 948 credits. That's the heat spam meta, man. If I hadn't been using personal reserves, I would have lost 50k credits. That's just the way it is. Anyways, yeah, that's Airfield. That's typically how you kind of want to play Airfield. A lot of it is defending until you have the advantage, and you want to make sure you have enough of the advantage so you can push. And yeah, thanks for watching. I hope to see you around. Later, guys. Bye-bye.